Hello everyone, welcome back to the Glassman's world, and we're about to get started here. I wanted to do a kind of a quick tutorial, quick lesson on how to make these really cool jellyfish pendants here. I'm going to pick up a few of these. I can show you what they look like. So those are the jellyfish pendants there. You can see they all have little tentacles. So they almost look like a mushroom. This one here is a mushroom. So as you can see, the mushroom's completely solid. It's got a stem going all the way through, but these ones actually have tentacles. So they're basically made almost the same way with, instead of just pushing a mushroom in, which we've done with, making all these different mushrooms here and showing you guys how to do the basic um, original $5 mushroom, right? So these are the original $5 mushrooms. So if you haven't watched that video, make sure that you got that tutorial down, and then you can move on to something a little bit more advanced like this. This is kind of jumping ahead quite a bit in the beginner lessons, but I've just been on a roll making a whole bunch of these jellyfish recently. So I figured, why not? Let's make some jellyfish. So let's get started. Get our glasses on here. Let's make sure we all set up. And torch on. All right, so first things first. In order to make a jellyfish, we have to make the ribbon cane. So the ribbon cane that I've been using is this and this new one here. So basically, you've got some colored glass in here that's all twisted up on the inside, and this one also is all on the inside, and it's just like a line of that I can then twist on to the glass. This one I did really simple and quick. Instead of making a ribbon cane, I can show you a tricky way on how to do that. But ribbon canes, you have to build them up. I got several to show you here. Do I have a red one? I thought I had a red one. Oh, this beautiful rainbow one too. So ribbon canes can come in a variety of different styles. As you can see, this is the one that we're using for jellyfish. These ones I also use for jellyfish. We can make rainbow jellies, but you probably wouldn't see the colors as much. I don't know, maybe using it for the center, that might look kind of cool. But I have this on the side just in case I want to make something. But these are the ones that I normally use. These are the ribbon canes, and we're going to make one of these and make one not as advanced as these ones here, but something more like this. So, and like I said, this is pretty much more advanced than usual on the we just got started with the beginner glass blowing lessons, making the first gathering glass, which we need to do that here. So let's gather some glass. So this is like the first basic step, right? So this is all jagged. Got to make sure that we introduce it to the flame slowly, and that way it doesn't really like pop on us. And you just want to be real gentle with it. I got it pushed out away from the flame instead of really close to the blue area here, the intense part of the flame. Try to get that warmed up, because sometimes with it being cut and jagged like that, it'll make the rest of the glass pop off than if it was rounded. So we need to get this glass all nice and rounded. And once it gets warm, then you can bring it a little bit closer into the torch, a little bit closer to the more intense part of the flame, and then just start heating it up. So now we're just going to spin it in the flame and we're going to get the tip of it molten, and then I'm going to use the tweezers to pull all the I don't know if you can see that or not, but at the end, I don't know if you can see that when it's glowing, like right on the very, very tip. Nah, you probably can't see that. From where it's all jagged, it looks like it's not clean. It, like, you can see the lines. It looks like a bunch of little tiny air bubbles, like a track of air bubbles going around the whole entire top, the circumference of this rod here. So we're going to basically get rid of all that. We're going to just pull it all up into a point here. I'm just going around the edge, the rim of that, to just kind of push it all into the center there. And then I'll squeeze it with the tweezers like that. And then we'll pull it off. So then you flame cut, right? So another really quick, simple part of the beginner lessons, doing the flame cut. Making sure you don't have a bunch of glass pulled off of it, right? And now, this is all ready to go. So we have this rod ready, and we're going to add some color to it. So in order to make a ribbon cane, basically what it is adding some color in between two pieces of clear glass. That's pretty much all it is. If you want to smash the rods first, you can do that. I usually just do all that later on. So what I'll do is I'll draw it onto the rod here. So we're just getting this all preheated now. Getting a section of a good like inch and a half of the tip of the rod here. So as you can see. So now that's all preheated, right? That way when we add the hot glass, this molten glass here, color glass, which is like a, I don't know if it's a triple passion or a amber purple, but whatever it is, we're going to use it. So now we're going to draw a stringer, basically right down the whole entire one side of this rod here. Just like that. And we don't need to make it too big. Like I said, we just heated up that 1 inch, 1.5 inch section. Preheat that, because if you don't, then the rod will end up cracking, especially right there where you add the glass at the end and you cut it off. It can crack right there. So you want to make sure you heat it up nicely. So now I'll concentrate the flame on the color and also on the rod, and try to get the sides of the color. We'll get that clear. Also heat it with the color so it all just kind of melts in and fuses together and allows that color to kind of sink in and become one with the clear rod. All right, so now it's pretty good and fused. It's just still, lifted up a little bit, a little higher than the rod. So we're gonna help that and smash it down. You can also use the pad here. We're gonna smash that down. I'm going to make sure that I keep that flame pretty much on the bottom of the rod here. And we're just going to smash the color down. Oh, what's going on, Austin? So here's a good lesson right here for you on how to make jellyfish if you don't know how to make jellyfish yet. And right now we're working on a ribbon cane. So right now I'm keeping the heat concentrated on the bottom. That way it's just getting all that color, and then, you know, I'm not allowing it to really move and spin around. That way it stays all in one place. I don't want the rod to start to spin and twist on me by getting all of it hot. So now we'll go and we'll heat it up and flatten it again. And now all that color has been flattened down into that clear glass just on this one side here. So now we're going to put another rod on top of that. So I got this other big old piece. It's a 2-foot rod here, as you can see. So we'll get this nice and hot here. A 2-foot rod is hard to handle, to hold up. It's actually really hard on my shoulders. I've got some bad shoulders on my right side of my rotator cuff. Got some injuries and some issues with it. So as I'm heating this up, I'm going to keep this warm in the background over here, the back side of the flame. And I'm going to bring the oxygen up some. You got enough oxygen, right? Yeah. Okay. We got half a tank still. And the propane I just filled up, so we should be good to go on propane, and oxygen's good. So making a ribbon cane takes a little bit of time. This is all part of the process on how to make a jellyfish. So now what I'm going to do is heat up 1.5 inches of this, but I'm going to really get it molten. So when I adhere it to the other piece of glass, I can kind of smash it on and really get that color all encased in there. And then also, you know, the other ribbon canes I was showing you, they had different colors on the edges. At this point, you would want to draw those edges, the colors right on that very edge there, but you got to draw it real perfectly and everything for it to really come through. All right, so almost got this heated up enough. I'm going to bring up the flame just a little bit more here. All right, now we're getting close to fusing them together here. So now I got to get this real warm, nice and warm, but not too hot. I don't want the color to move around or anything, but I do want it to adhere together and not get any air bubbles in between there. All right, so now get this all molten, sandwich it right on there, push it on, just that, and boom. Now that's covered. Just set this down for a moment. Here, I'll just pull the rest of that off. Don't really need that. I got a glass jar right here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but just dropping the glass right into the jar there. Now, one thing that I'm noticing is that on this side, there's less clear than on this side. I may actually go with another layer of clear on top of that, just to make it a little bit more centered. That way it's even on both sides. So I'm just going to add a whole nother layer of clear glass right on top of that other clear that I just laid down. And we'll see how long this takes. I'm sure the ribbon cane is quite a bit of a process. Alright, let me just make sure I lay this on really, really nice and thick here. Because then we're going to flatten it. Alright, that looks better. Yeah. Alright, so what I did is I added 2 layers of clear on this side, so that way it would be about the same thickness on each side. Alright, now, let me see if I can find, what am I going to use? Let me grab one of these out of here real quick. Oh, not that one. One better. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm just cleaning off this rod here with the Norwex OptiCloth. Gets rid of all the dust, dirt, debris, fingerprints, and things like that. Make sure to keep that warm here. Okay, I'm going to use this as a handle eventually. So when we take it off this rod, we'll have something to hold it onto. And I'm just going to use my torch up here on top, the National 12-point hole tip. I could turn on the torch below, but I'm just going to do it this way. Alright, it's getting all nice and molten. Alright. So then what I did is I also pushed it over. So now it's not really too crooked. We'll get that straightened out. All right, now we can start melting the clear down on the sides a little better. And we can just start heating this up and start spinning it and turning it into the ribbon cane here. Noticing some of this color at the tip. This looked like it didn't have enough clear glass over it, so I'm just going to pull some of that clear glass right on top of it like that. Okay, now like I said, we got this other rod here. It's a smaller rod. As I'm heating this all up, getting it all molten, we're going to attach it to this, and then we're going to start spinning it. And we're going to create the ribbon cane. So basically what we've done is we've encased this color glass. We made sure that we laid it down flat first to flatten it out. And now we're going to twist it. So now it's going to look like a piece of crepe paper that you would use like for a birthday party streamer, you know? And then you twist it around, and it's got that really cool spiral looking effect, like a DNA pattern. So that's what we're going to do here. We'll keep that all molten. We're going to get this all nice and hot right here. We get the tip all molten here. We're going to attach them together. And then we're going to detach it from this bigger rod here. We'll probably end up making the jellyfish off this rod also. So you need like 2 or 3 different rods. I'm using 16mm rod here. You can do this with 12.75, maybe something even smaller. The smaller you go, the quicker it'll melt, that's for sure. All right, so now we got that all nice and rounded. We're going to attach them together here. Make sure that's nice and center, just like that. So now that's a handle. It's just going to hold on to it, and as I'm spinning my hands, I'm going to spin my right hand just slightly a little bit more than the left hand, and it's going to start to spiral it. And then this is the ribbon cane that we use for making the tentacles to then make the jellyfish. You know, I noticed one side of the clear, I'm not going to lie, is a lot thicker than the other. So it's not going to be the most uniform pattern of a ribbon cane, but you'll be able to see it. And we're going to keep it nice and thick too. That way I can, if I want to use it for anything else, I can. And then we'll just pull a little bit off of that. Uh-oh, might have to turn down my flame a little bit there. It started to spit. All right. So you might be able to see on the left side of the flame as I'm heating up the tip of this ribbon cane here. You'll probably see it start coming out from the flame there, all glowing and all nice and spirally. Oh yeah, now this part looks really nice. That looks like a really nice uniform ribbon cane right there. All right, so now you can see we got a nice big chunk of ribbon cane right there. Super molten on one side, and you can see on the other there. So we're gonna cut it off. That way we can use this for the jellyfish now. But before we do, we're gonna pull out some of this here and make it a lot skinnier than the rest of it. So I'm just gonna spin it, stretch it, and basically create like a stringer, keeping it a good 3 to 4 millimeters thick, sorry. And this is where you got to really be careful on how you heat up, where you're heating it, how much you're heating it. This is pretty advanced right here. I'm not going to lie. This isn't too much beginner, but it is, because it now is in my repertoire here is beginner glass blowing. But in order to make a ribbon cane, you really got to have good control of both hands and being able to spin it and heat it, be able to, you know, bounce it in and out of the flame on the thick spots to thin them out where you want it to match it all up. I got really good at that from making body jewelry and things. All right, so now we got a good portion of it where it's all pulled out a lot thinner than the rest of it, as you can see. Now we're going to pull out even more. Here, let's just start from this end right here. Like which side? Right here? There we go. Right, I'm going to thin that out some, and I'm going to straighten it out some. That's a really crooked. There we go. That's better. It's going to kind of correct how straight that is. It was a little crooked, so I'm just fixing that. All right, we're going to stretch this out right here. Now this we want to bring down to about 2 to 3 millimeter. We're going to do the same thing, just keeping that flame, pretty much I'm keeping that glass just floating on the flame, maybe bounce it in and out a little bit, just like that. So now you got yourself an even thinner piece of the ribbon cane right here. All right, that's probably good. Now we're going to cut it off. So you see where it's like, where it's thick and then thin, we're going to cut it right there. Boom, just like that. All right, so now you got a smaller piece of the same ribbon cane that we just did. You can mix up ribbon cane. I can use this ribbon cane now, the smaller one, on top of this one that's got more of a phantom ghost-like center. But let's just see what it looks like with this same color ribbon cane. So now we got to bring the torch way down, way down. Got to like really bring it down. I'm talking seriously, bring it down. All right, so now we got this bigger piece here. We got the smaller piece. We're gonna draw a couple lines only about that long. We're talking like not even the length of my thumbnail. I would say 5 to 7 millimeters is what we're doing. And yes, you can put the ribbon cane in like a mushroom. That's exactly what we're going to do, but we got to build up tentacles around So we got a main center tentacle and a couple smaller ones going on the outside. So now we're going to go in, hit the tips together, and as I draw it down, I'm also going to spin it to keep the tightness of that. And like I said, we're just going, I don't know, maybe 7mm. I don't know. It's almost as wide as my thumb. 3/4 width is the length of where I'm going with this. And I can go even shorter. So then I cut it, and then I use my torch because my torch is not aluminum. So my torch is pretty heavy duty. I use it as a tool as well. So I just smash the little chunk of glass that's at the very tip when I do the flame cut here. I just force that down and onto that center rod. We'll just keep going around about 5 or 6 times. This is a pretty thick center tentacle, so we'll probably get 6 of them going around here. Let's see where that first one is. Oh yeah, we can easily add another couple more here. Probably one more right there in between. All right, so now we've got about 5 or 6 tentacles. We'll just set this down, right? So now we got this portion here that's all built up. We got to melt that all down. So we'll bring the flame up just slightly, just a little bit. And then we're going to get that same color that we've been using for the ribbon cane, same color. We're going to add a little bit of a dot onto the tip of this as well. Oh, you got the alpha and the red max. Yeah, this is, so the red max is a major, and this is also major, but this is the old school major with the round, with the square head. The red max is the round head. And then it's got the National 3A on top. From Grime Glass. I've never heard of Grime Glass. I'll have to check them out. Grimeglass.com, grime.com. Big Papa Besky. I don't even know these individuals. I got to check out all these people you keep on mentioning. I need to write a list down so then I can check them out. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm heating this up, so I'm melting down all those tentacles that I drew on the outside. I'm also holding it at a 45-degree angle, so it's kind of falling downward this way. It's not, I'm not trying to gather it into a round ball. I really want to keep it elongated. And as I attach these together, I'm going to pull them to try to stretch it out, but I don't want to stretch out the ribbon too much, so I'm not doing too much of a stretch here. And then we get that attached just like that. Also, the kiln has been on since before the video started, and it's all preheated. We definitely are going to be dropping these in the kiln. All right, so now what I did is I pulled it. So now you can see the colors attached here. And then about to this part right here is where those tentacles are drawn. You can see the thickness of it, and then it gets pulled, tapered down right there. So I have to push this much plus a little bit of color into a clear rod. So now I'm going to heat up where the color is, and we're going to flame cut it, but I'm also going to kind of just stretch it out a little bit and taper it and leave, I don't know, about 1/3 of the size of what the rest of the tentacles are. About 1/3. So not half, but 1/3, if you can see that. So, you know, the whole length right there, if you cut it into thirds, that's probably how much color I use, about 1/3 of that. And now we're going to force this into some clear glass. So we're going to grab that same glass that we used earlier, which is that big 2-foot rod. That's the only one we got now, because we have this one on here and we got that one there. I probably should have twisted off something else. All right. The alpha can take a beating. It's not aluminum. He won first at Champs Master Glass Pipe Competition. That's awesome. You know, I've actually never been to like Glass Vegas or gone to any of those. I've been so out of the scene. Like, I've been blowing glass for 30 years, and I just kind of, I've kept to myself, and I just blow glass. And now I decided I'd share it out and show you guys some of the little tips and tricks that I know. You know, I was taught by Brian Bentley Glass, long time ago, back in 1995, with some of the basic stuff. And then we watched some videos, or at least I did. I watched Lewis Wilson's Crystal Myth video, and he had the O'Grady's, George and Kevin O'Grady, on, and they made a bunch of cool things, jewelry, figurines, bracelets, a lot of really nice beads. So I learned a lot of different techniques from those videos and stuff. And then just watching other glass artists, Robert Mickelson was also a really huge inspiration back in the early, my early glass career. About 97, I think he came out with a video called It's Just a Demo. And Robert Mickelson made some beautiful stemware, these big old goblets that were just ridiculous. And I tried to mimic those back in 97. So I was like upping my game back then, trying to do some crazy stuff. And I probably didn't have my seals down right, so everything eventually broke and all that. So now what I've done is I've gathered all that. It was all pointy and everything, so I've gathered it, rounded it up. We're getting it nice and molten. We're going to pick up the tentacles that we built up earlier. Those are pretty much a solid. They're cooled down. They're good. He does a lot of skulls and is a frequent visitor of your glass school in Bear River. Nice. Your glass school, huh? That's awesome. You have a huge studio. You got a bunch of tables. That's something I would love to be able to do. But at the same time, I don't really manage myself properly. Business-wise, I'm not going to lie. I like to be more of the artist than the manager, but I know I got to do all of it. Got to do the sales, got to do the promo, the marketing, all of this. Even be the talent on camera, right? And behind the scenes camera work and lighting, audio, video, background, extras. All right, so now we're getting this molten. I'm heating up the tip where the color is on this, and we're gonna push it in just like a mushroom. Get it centered, get it in there, make sure it's centered, push it in. Now you want to make sure you don't push it in further than where those tentacles are, or you'll lose the tentacles underneath the bell of it, and then it won't look too good. So now we're going to cut off the bottom here, flame cut it, twist this off, go with the same direction of the twist. This is now ready. I'm going to heat it up just a little bit on the tip, and that's now ready for another jelly, right? So now we got to get the air out just like a mushroom, but this is a bigger mushroom, a lot thicker. took your whole family to Degenerate Family Reunion. What is that about? A big old potluck style reunion, barbecue, hangout. Everyone gets all irie. Oh man, talking about phones. My phone is done. It crashed out. It's no more. I'm gonna have to check him out. Big Papa Besky from San Fran. He's an OG. Beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. I started out 95, so I think I'm like OG or borderline OG. Started out long ago when there was hardly anyone here in Albuquerque. All right, so now the trick is getting that heat right above where the cap is or the bell of the jellyfish. Normally we'd be talking about the mushroom cap, but we're just heating it up right on the transition on where the pendant is and where it comes together at the rod. And we're just keeping that heat right on that, on the top there, waiting to see that glass come down and push out the air from the underside of the jellyfish bell here, which I can see it now. It's starting to come out slowly. We'll start moving that flame a little bit down. We're talking millimeters at a time here. Slowly bringing it down to the bottom. Getting that air out. You can see the tentacles are all wrapped around. The center tentacle is there. As long as you don't trap any air, it's going to come out beautiful. So work on making sure you don't trap any air with your simple mushrooms. Go to that video if you haven't learned how to do the simple mushrooms first. And then you can get to doing this. But this is really actually beginner, advanced beginner, I don't know, intermediate. This is a beautiful ribbon cane. I'm loving it. That center ribbon cane looks beautiful. All right, so now we're going to round it out, right? And at this point, it's all molten. The air's been pulled out. There's no more air pocket on the bottom. There's no dimple, no nothing on the bottom, right? And now I'm going to allow this to get flattened on one side. I'm going to figure out which side do I want the front. Right there, boom. Stop. So the top right here is the front. I'm going to allow it to just sink in onto that pad right there. And now we have a flat spot that we can attach a little bit of cobalt blue, which I got this big old chunk of blue. I buy these in the 4-foot rod here. I think this might be that Chinese cobalt, but I'm not 100%. I get it from Gray Matter Glass here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Huge master glassblowing competition, 200. Dang. Mothership glass events. Oh yeah, Mothership. That's ridiculous. 250. The best of the best glass blowers or at Degenerate Family Reunion, live demos and competition. You guys got music too? I'm a musician and I'm all about live music. I love supporting live musicians. I don't need to always get on stage. I just love to have a good band playing. Back in the day, I used to play and perform out a lot, and I used to produce different concerts and events. All right, so now we're going to smash it on, making sure it's nice and flat there. I'm also going to pull it down the rod just slightly and then back up to the tip. that's something you may have to be in studio to really understand what I did right there. It's to make it like a teardrop shape. Instead of just smashing it on and then it's just round, I kind of brought the blue down this way and then pulled it back up that way. Now there's a big old chunk towards the bottom. We got to get that all melted out, melted down, flattened, and then this jellyfish will be done soon. This is going to be a beautiful jelly. It was a blessing. The degenerate family DFO was really DFO or DFR? DFO was really big, but hasn't been as big since. And since 2023, previous years before, they were in a park, and it was much better. Oh, okay. But then it was at North Star. Oh my gosh, that would be so awesome to check out North Star. I didn't even think about going to North Star Glass when I went to visit one time up there in Portland and Seattle, Washington, Tacoma, Washington. I went to the glass museum up there and I got to see all of the Chihuly Bridge of Glass and all that cool stuff. That was pretty awesome. Tacoma Museum of Glass. Man, to be able to just go into North Star, I'm sure they got all kinds of like seconds that, and like just a little like clearance grab pile. It's like, oh yeah, that's just like whatever, $5 a pound, $10 a pound, $20 a pound, right? And then they got like new colors that they've never like sent out to anyone, but you can only get them at the factory, I bet. Oh, they had a PA system going, huh? Oh, what? Anyone could just sell? And Bob Snodgrass was there. That's awesome. So apparently that's my lineage, Bob Snodgrass. My friend Brian Bentley, he was taught by a guy named Red, who was taught by Bob Snodgrass himself or by someone who was taught by Bob Snodgrass himself. So I'm like, I don't know, 3 generations, 4 generations away from Bob Snodgrass. That's where all my beginner glass knowledge came from, Eugene, Oregon. I'm old school. Okay, Bob Salkin, his first apprentice. I was Brian Bentley's very first apprentice. He was living out there in Eugene, Oregon. Things didn't work out, so he moved back over here. We were in high school together. I've known Brian since like freshman year, like the summer before freshman year, and we hung out like every year, all the time. Went to lunch together, did all kinds of crazy stuff together, and then he moved to Eugene, Oregon, and it didn't work out for me. And 1 year apprenticeship ended up being 6 months when he moved back. He told me if I were to invest in the equipment, that he would teach me everything that he knew. So we invested in all the wrong equipment because we didn't know anyone who blew glass in Albuquerque at that time. It was, completely foreign to anyone back in 1995. We found out later there was like only 5, maybe 6 glass blowers who were like here and maybe a couple others that came down from Oregon and stuff like that. But other than that, like, there was no one that we knew of. And we were working with just clear glass at first and fuming. We didn't even know where to get color. We didn't know anything about North Star glass until we met Lewis Wilson, another great, amazing glass artist. We got to meet him in his home studio. He invited us over when we were just noobs and just getting into the game. All right, so now I got that all molten. I'm going to flatten it using my eyes to see how I'm flattening it, like this here. Then we're going to put it to the pad. And I've been having the flame on the back side, so I can flatten the front side of this without worrying about it flattening out. It's going to stay round on this side. So then it's all rounded here, flat on the back there, and a beautiful, I don't know if you can see that, beautiful jelly. And I wish that the autofocus worked for this camera, but it doesn't. So now, ooh, that one looks awesome. Love it. I'm so glad when these demonstrations come out. When we're all live. Because I could have easily made hundreds of mistakes here. Right now, I'm actually heating up the front. I'm going to round it out. It looked like it got a little bit flattened to me. Like, not pancaked or nothing, but it lost some of its roundness. And I want to make sure that it's really nice and round, so it has a good magnifying lens on the front. So I'm really going to heat this front now. The clear side of the jelly here. So this, the rounded side. All right. So now I'm also holding it down, letting the gravity just allow this to kind of teardrop out for me. And also being careful that it doesn't lean over too much from one side or another. So you got to go from left hand to right hand always to usually compensate, to make sure it doesn't do that. All right, that looks nice. That looks good, nice and rounded. Okay, so now I just wanted to work on that, get that rounded all nice and beautiful. So you can see, flat on this side here, rounded on this side there. We're going to get another piece of glass here, which is just a tubing, old tubing, that then I heated up the tip, got this a little bit solidified, used as a punchy. That's all I use for punchies, is all my scraps right here. So now we're going to heat up the punchy, get the punchy molten. This is still pretty warm. As you can see, it's glowing. But we don't want to have this molten and have these fused together. We want this to be basically a cold fusion where we can snap that off. So it's just going to be like tack welded on right there for a minute. So now I'm going to heat it up. I wanted to have the back of it to be flat with the punchy. So if you can see, it's kind of crooked. I'm just going with the flow and just spinning it this way here. We're going to get the front of the rod of where the jellyfish is. We're going to get that all nice and molten. The back as well. We're going to get some of that blue. Like I said, I kind of teardrop shaped it, so it has a little bit of a point on that one side. We're going to get that blue to pull with the rest of the rod here, and we're going to form the loop right now. So I'm going to get this all nice and molten. The trick is keeping that blue on the back side. So you face it towards you, pull it, then bring it this way up towards you, start to bring it around, put it in the flame to then help you bend it around, and also flame cut it right off like that. Do a quick flame cut, nice and clean. heat up the little nub right there. Use your reamer to flatten it down to the body. That way you can help it. Then just start to hit it on both sides. This side here, this side here. Or you can spin it like this. You just got to be careful not to let the loop go crooked and spin on you. So you want to use a reamer also to make sure that the hole doesn't close up on you. And then you just slowly heat up the rest of the loop there. Let it slowly close down on you. And whatever's, like, I like to keep the size hole about 5mm open. I use a 2mm cord for tying off all of my pendants, but I'm sure people would want to have like a really nice silver chain or something like that. So I always keep them a little bit big, probably a good 5mm, but I'm guessing. And then I heat it up. I look at it this way to make sure that this is you know, nice and straight or crisscross that way. Looking at it this way, when I heat it up and it's all molten, what I do is I go in and I push in like this, but then I pull upwards. So it's like pulling that rope and getting this pulled up nice and taut. And that's how you straighten out that whole thing. And then you got the beautiful pendant right there, mushroom, or not mushroom, jellyfish. Now we get the tweezers here. Preheat it so it doesn't shock the hot glass. I like to grab into it so I have a good grip of it. Snap it right off, real simple. Put that bottom directly into the flame just like that. Just going right into the flame on the side. But I go in the bottom and then I go up on top. But we're basically just kissing that edge of the flame like that. So I just go right on the top, bottom. That'll help to keep the gravity pulling it straight down and the glass doesn't go to one side or the other. And then also, I'll heat up the back side to make sure if there's any sort of marks from the tools or things like that, any heat marks, that we get rid of that. And that's a done pendant right there. And then we drop that in the kiln. We let that kind of cool off for a sec, just one sec. Put that down. I then re-grab it like this so I can put it in the kiln nicely. And then I get my kiln open. I'm not going to turn the camera around or anything like that. But as you can see, that is a done jelly right there. Wish you could see those tentacles more in detail because they look awesome. Okay, I'm going to drop it in the kiln, guys. That kiln is at about 1080, 1100. It's probably too hot. Oh, it's at about 1070 right now. So that's good. So we're pretty much right where it needs to be. So I put a cobalt blue background on it, which was this, the Chinese cobalt. So I put that, just a dot of it, and melted that all down. All right. Oh my gosh, some guy bought 3K in soft glass wanting to start Boro. I got a whole bunch of soft glass that I picked up somewhere, somehow. I don't even know. I was thinking I would play with it since my major torch, it's a pre-mix instead of a surface mix, right? Or no, opposite way. It's a surface mix. So it could do soft glass, but it's probably too big of a flame. I'm probably going to sell all those boxes. Yeah. So you looked into classes and you watched a bunch of people. You could be on the torch and learn and choose Bear River Glassworks and Grass Valley. Most people don't travel far. When you started, you used color for punties. Oh, all you had was cobalt and the stuff was thick. Nice. Yeah. 12mm bio tubes or blow tubes. 12 millimeter blow tubes. Yeah, I still have little blow tubes like that. I use them. I make some really cool little things. I make little nice UFOs out of them for necklaces, little tiny pendants. Yeah, and soft glass is all shocky and explodey. So yeah, after he took that 6 month apprenticeship, he moved back, and we bought a bunch of equipment. And then, like I said, it wasn't until we met Lewis Wilson where he turned us on to some of his a box of scraps that he had. You know, like all the scraps right here that I got, but he had a box, like a huge box full of scraps, and he's like, "Help yourself. Grab some colors. You could play with them, see what you like, see what you think." And then he gave us that original North Star color chart where most of them were just the round. Um, it was like a rounded color that was, you know, it was flattened on the top, and then they started coming out with the little faces later on. But the first posters, it was mostly just a flattened little a round um, marble that was then flattened into a disc on the tip to show you what the color looked like. And I think they even put some under clear glass too, possibly, but I don't know. Oh, did I put a dark backing on the mushroom on the table? The one on the table, that mushroom is just cobalt as well. They're all just cobalt on the background. That's all I ever do, cobalt. And these are all jellies except for this one. That's the mushroom right there. Oh, mandrels. You know, I used to love to make beads. I lost my mandrels when I was doing lessons. I took my equipment over to someone's place, and then they got into a divorce, and she ended up moving out and leaving and taking the torch and stuff with her because she was the one who I was teaching, and I lost track of her, and I don't know what happened to all my equipment. I lost my bowl pushers and all kinds of carbon graphite paddles, all kinds of stuff, but I have everything that I need. There's probably some tools that, you know, like marble molds and things like that that I lost that were on paddles. I had several of those, but it's okay. Yeah, I've done boral marbles. They're fun. Um, Using mandrels, you just get that the bead release, get the proper bead release, which I think is basically just like the clay slip. You know, it's like that clay sludge, and you just dip your mandrel right on that tip. You don't want to make too many on one mandrel. You know, if once you get good, you can make a couple beads at a time on a mandrel. That way, you're making them about the same size, at least two or three at a time. But once you try to start making like four or five, those first couple are going to crack on you. Um, the only tip that I know is to preheat your sludge or the bead release, but not overheat it. You don't want to get it to where it crackles. And then you want to get your glass so molten that when you touch it on that mandrel, it's just like gooey drips right around, you know? And then you just like wrap it, you know, you just like let it go, you know, and then do a little flame cut as soon as it comes back around. Make a little donut, you know, wrap it around that mandrel, cut it off on that other side as it comes back around. If you add, you know, do a color like this where it's a color changing of some sort, and then add some clear dots on top of that and make them like offset, you know, dot here, dot there, like that, like where um, my fingernails are, and then put dots in between those on the sides. Make bigger dots in the center and then smaller dots on the end, and that's like the O'Grady style beads that they used to make. But they would put color and then they'd put clear on top of that, so it'd have this really nice depth to it. I don't have mandrels, but that would be a fun lesson for beginner glass blowing. Maybe I'll get some and we could actually do that. That'd be really cool. But I'm gonna let you guys go. We've been doing this for an hour now, and I just really wanted to do a lesson on how to make these jellyfish. I may come back live again later on tonight when I'm working, because I'm probably going to make a few more here. But I just wanted to keep this short and sweet for the beginner glass blowing lesson. So thank you so much, Austin, for coming here, and Austin for coming in and having a good conversation with me about glass and all these amazing masters and badasses, pretty much, that I got to check out. Man, I'm missing out over here. I'm just chilling in my dungeon. All right. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks a lot for chilling, and make sure you hit that like button if you like what I'm sharing here. Be sure to subscribe if you want to get more lessons and how to do glass blowing. And that's about it. You guys have a good evening. I'm out. Lucky outside instead of inside. Later.